When did they tell you that desire had an expiration date? Maybe no one said it outright, but society slowly plants that idea, between the lines, in the looks, in the silences. It pushes us toward a place of invisibility, as if the mature body had lost its right to vibrate, to want, to feel. But desire doesn't age. What ages are the beliefs, the guilt, the fears we were taught to carry. The passion, the ability to feel your skin tingle, to be moved by a touch, to get lost in a gaze full of intention, stays alive within us, no matter what age shows on our ID. Maturity brings something that youth often can't offer: presence, awareness, freedom to surrender to pleasure without the pressure of performance, without the anxiety of meeting expectations, without the childish fear of being judged. It's a fuller pleasure, a truer pleasure, one more deeply connected to who we are today. Dr. Ruth used to say that desire has no expiration date, and she knew exactly what she was talking about. The body that has lived, that has loved, that has reinvented itself so many times carries within it a power for pleasure that doesn't disappear. It transforms, it deepens, it liberates itself. The greatest gift maturity can give us is the permission to feel without apologizing, to desire without shame, to live our own pleasure as an act of celebrating life. Because at the end of the day, what matters isn't how many years you have, it's how much life still pulses inside you. If this message has already stirred something inside you, a memory, a longing, a curiosity, then take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Here, maturity isn't about fading away. Here, maturity is a living flame, a desire that has matured and become even more beautiful to experience. The pleasure we feel after 50 isn't an echo of who we once were, nor a sigh for something lost to time. It's a new kind of presence, a more mature, deeper, more conscious expression of what it means to be alive. When we let go of the pressures of youth, the perfect body, the explosive performance, the need to prove something, we make space for a truer pleasure, one that doesn't need masks or justifications. Desire in maturity is sometimes quieter, maybe slower, but also more powerful because it comes from the freedom to be who we are, without the obligation to meet anyone else's expectations. It's the touch that comes without hurry, the kiss that doesn't have to prove anything, the desire that grows in the intimacy of a gaze, in complicity, in genuine connection. And it's in this place that we discover that desire was never truly about youth. It has always been about vitality, about presence, about the courage to feel. Dr. Ruth used to say that desire is what keeps the soul awake, and it's impossible not to feel the power of that truth when we look inside and recognize that we are still capable of vibrating, of feeling shivers, of being moved by another's skin, or by our own. Maybe what truly grows old isn't the body, but the resignation to stop feeling, to stop seeking pleasure, to stop believing we still deserve to feel. Every time we reconnect with our desire, with our ability to be aroused, with the pleasure of touch and surrender, we reaffirm that we are alive, that there is still so much life inside us, asking to be felt. And living this without guilt, without shame, without fear, is one of the greatest freedoms that maturity can offer us. If you feel that this flame still exists within you, even if it's small, even if it's timid, know this: it never went out. It was only waiting for the right moment to burn brightly again. The body changes with time, it's true, but the capacity to feel pleasure does not disappear with the changes of the skin, with the passing years, or with the transformations of life. The mature body has different languages, different rhythms, different strengths, and learning to listen to it, to respect it, to dance alongside it, is one of the greatest wisdoms that life can offer us. Maturity is not synonymous with lack of desire. It's the sign of a new way of relating to it. It's discovering that pleasure no longer needs to be urgent, no longer needs to be loud, no longer needs to be compared to what once was, because now it can be deeper, more conscious, more complete. Dr. Ruth used to say that the secret to happiness in mature sexuality is acceptance. And it's exactly this acceptance that frees us to experience pleasure without the chains of the past, without imposed models, without the tyranny of eternal youth. Accepting your own body, with its marks, with its stories, with its lived beauty, is also accepting your right to passion, to shivers, to the excitement that comes from true intimacy, from unhurried surrender, from a connection that goes beyond the surface. Desire after 50 is less about immediate impulses and more about feeling every detail, every touch, every shared breath, as if they were precious pieces of life we choose to savor with presence. And that is an immense achievement, because it transforms intimacy into a territory of freedom and authenticity. It's not the body that determines the end of pleasure. It's the mind that sometimes believes the lies society tells. And the more we free ourselves from those lies, the more we open space to experience pleasure in all its power. Passion isn't a distant memory. It's a silent force that still lives inside us, just waiting for our permission to bloom again. And perhaps maturity is exactly that, the courage to allow ourselves to feel again, in an even truer way. For a long time, we were taught that maturity should come with renunciation, as if pleasure had an expiration date, as if desire were some kind of mistake we needed to correct over time. But the truth is that maturity can actually be the richest phase for living sexuality in all its freedom. Now we know more about who we are. Now we can say what we like, what we want, what we no longer accept. Now we have the chance to live pleasure without guilt, without hurry, without the need to be perfect in anyone else's eyes. Dr. Ruth used to say that sexual freedom grows alongside emotional maturity, and it's exactly that maturity that allows pleasure to move beyond the merely physical and become a celebration of connection, of touch, of the gaze that truly sees, of the presence that welcomes. In youth, sex was often loaded with expectations, insecurities, and the rush to prove worth. But now, pleasure becomes more real, more internal, more connected to what we feel from the inside out, without masks, without forced performances. This new intimacy can begin with a light touch, with a hug that lingers longer than usual, with a kiss without a clock, with the exchange of looks that says everything without a single word. Because pleasure in maturity doesn't need an audience or haste. It only needs presence. Rediscovering your own passion is rediscovering your own strength, your own beauty, your own capacity to vibrate with life. And that is something no one can take away from you, regardless of your age, regardless of the changes in your body, regardless of the stories you have already lived. Pleasure is a celebration of life, and rediscovering it is also a reunion with what makes you whole, powerful, alive. And if at some point you believe that this was no longer for you, maybe now is the time to reclaim what has always been your right, the joy of feeling. Perhaps the greatest gift that maturity gives us is the freedom to experience pleasure without needing to fit into patterns. Passion, when lived consciously after 50, stops being an uncontrolled impulse and becomes a more complete, more delicate, yet more intense experience, because now we are able to surrender with more truth and less fear. The matured body no longer seeks approval, it seeks connection. The skin that has already felt life's touch carries a sensory memory, capable of turning every caress into an event, every glance into a silent invitation, every breath into an act of deep intimacy. Dr. Ruth used to say that aging healthily is also aging with desire, and that is one of the most revolutionary truths we can carry. Because desire isn't just about wanting sex, it's about staying connected to life. It's the spark that reminds us we are still alive and that we still deserve to live everything that our body and soul have to offer. When we rediscover pleasure with maturity, we realize that it doesn't depend on formulas or performance, but rather on surrender, on availability, on accepting who we are today, with all the stories we have lived, with all the marks we carry, which now become part of our unique beauty. Pleasure after 50 is a gift we give ourselves, not as an obligation, but as a celebration of what we are still capable of feeling. And the more we allow ourselves to live this experience, the more we reaffirm that life continues pulsing inside, asking to be lived with intensity, with desire, with passion. And this passion, this flame that never goes out, is what keeps us young, not in appearance, but in essence. Because the true secret of youth is not found in the mirror, it is found in the courage to keep feeling. If there's one truth that time does not erase, it's that desire remains one of the most powerful forces living within us. Regardless of the changes in our body, of the experiences we've accumulated, of the stories we've left behind, as long as there is a will to feel, to touch, to vibrate, there will be life pulsing through every part of our being. Dr. Ruth used to say that there is no expiration date for pleasure, only the opportunity to live it with more awareness at every stage of life. And it is this opportunity that maturity so generously offers us, the chance to experience sexuality without guilt, without masks, without the pressures that so often pulled us away from what truly matters. Celebrating your own passion after 50 is more than an act of courage. It's an act of self-love. It's a silent declaration that we still deserve the shiver, the touch, the desire, the surrender, and that these experiences are not privileges, youth, but inalienable rights of those who choose to truly live. There's no need to wait for perfect conditions, nor to cling to comparisons with what once was. Pleasure in maturity is different. It's denser, more conscious, more full of meaning, and precisely because of that, it is even more precious. If some part of you throughout this video recognized this truth, if you felt a spark of desire ignite, if you found yourself smiling from the inside out, then embrace that with tenderness, because that feeling is your soul reminding you that pleasure still belongs to you, that life still pulses strongly within you. Like this video now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you can keep following us on this beautiful journey of rediscovery, freedom, and celebration. Here, maturity is exalted, pleasure is respected, and life is lived in all its power. Because passion has no age, pleasure has no expiration date, and as long as there is courage to feel, there will always be a new beginning waiting to be lived.